Hello, and welcome to this Divine Partnership coaching video. I'm going to be your coach for the video, Madam Thanatos. And this is the first in a series I'm calling How Do You Know It's Love? And the element I want to talk about briefly is friendship. It's something that is, it can happen with any relationship. It really should. Like the healthiest relationships by any anecdotal or expert opinion are characterized by having a healthy friendship. And that's, you know, relationships that are based mostly on sex or some kind of like business transaction like finances or resources or houses or um, reputation, things like that. They're just, they're lacking in a lot of ways. Like being able to have somebody that you truly feel safe sharing your vulnerabilities with and telling all the weird, I don't know, we'd call them purple ducks, like the weird little thoughts that pop off to your head that you probably never tell anybody else because they might think you're nuts. And you know that you can tell that to your twin or somebody that you have genuine love with, and that they will not only understand you and not think that you're crazy, but they appreciate you for the little absurdities and quirks and flaws that you have. But I think I've had a number of clients that have come to me lately, and they will have either just met their twin and been with them for a couple of months, and then either a karmic came in and pulled their attention away, or they found out that there was a karmic involved already. Maybe they were pregnant or something like that, or twins who have been on the journey for years, and then now they're in separation or they broke up or something along those lines, and they start getting into the how to get your ex back videos, which, as funny, kind of pulled me into them a little bit. And as I was watching, I was thinking, there's something that a lot of people don't seem to address, is like all of it's about how do you make them want you, how do you get them back, how do you do this and that. But there's not a lot of people or coaches or experts that stop and look at somebody who's like, I want my ex back, and say, why? Why do you want them back? And if you want them back, why does it have to be in a relationship? Especially if you've already been in a relationship and you got to the point to where you had separation or breakup or anything, or some big things happened. You I think a lot of people get into wanting to get their ex back because they, one, feel like they need to be in a relationship of some kind, and it's like the most recent thing there, and you feel like dropped off a cliff, right, where you're coming out of that relationship, and it feels safer to go back to somebody that you know than to start over and attempt to do a relationship with somebody new from the very beginning, which is also what characterizes getting into rebounds. Is a rebound will often be our attempt to displace our feelings and not have to start over. We try to jump in with somebody that we feel like we can basically pick up where we left off with the person that we were leaving before. And in all of those situations, how many times do we stop and say, why does it have to be a relationship? Like, if you really appreciate the person that you've been with, then you got to consider two things. One, yes, it would be nice to have, it'd be that cherry on top experience to have the romance and the physical intimacy and the exclusivity with them. However, if you really love them and it's genuine love, then there, there should be a certain amount of satisfaction in having the platonic friendship there. There should be connection in there to where, if you were just, if you were best friends with them for the rest of your lives, that you would feel comfortable with that. And at the same time, if you feel like you could go without their friendship, like you wouldn't want to chat with them regularly or connect with them or have some kind of warm friendship, if you feel like you would be okay not having that, and that you don't want anything unless it's like a full-on relationship and stuff like that, that kind of suggests that there isn't that element of friendship and connection in there, especially in terms of like twin flame stuff. Like, I don't know, with my counterpart, we've always had a connection with music, not just listening to music, but playing music, making music, sharing it with the kids, talking about the connections that we had with family members, and how, like, things as crazy as talking about the importance of the spaces of silence between the notes, or recognizing the difference between like a hammer on and a pull off, or having ways to make music out of nonsense noise. We've always had that, and it's always created kind of a tangibility to our connection that is, it's the friendship aspect of it. We've also got strong connections when it comes to enjoying working on vehicles and talking about them and the different adventures we can have with them. And we're both really kind of absurd about it. It's not just like buy a car and fix it and sell it. Like, there's somehow that we always add some sort of artistic quality to it. And we both have kind of like opposite artistic values that we add to it, but when they come together, they really work and they really mesh well. And along with that is appreciation for tools and different ways to do something, and finding ways to speed up doing something but without losing the quality. We also have an appreciation for, well, kindness, and a little bit in terms of well, not a little bit, more so lately, connection in terms of enlightenment and spirituality. And I don't know, there's so many different flashes in my mind that characterize just a friendship. Like, yes, I would love to be with my counterpart, my masculine, like every day, holding hands and really connecting, and knowing that when I feel those warm feelings of appreciation, that I can show him in some very special ways at the end of the day. However, I don't feel pressured that, like, I have to have that, or that not having that somehow, like, diminishes or devalues the rest of the connection I can have with them. And in fact, it's through this journey that I've really started to recognize how important that element is to me. Like, yes, I want the romantics in there. However, the real intimacy lies in sharing vulnerabilities, in being able to speak to each other without so many words, in the sharing of important memories and values, and being able to say, you know what, for better or for worse, when we're divine and when we're karmic, I can't picture my life without you in it. That is really a characteristic of what you have as a strong friendship. And interestingly enough, that's one of the things that people will often, that thoughts about what a twin flame journey is change from person to person, but something that I've noticed is consistent is the observation that twin flames, unlike, say, soulmates or other relationships that you might come in, whether karmic or not, they twin flames can be friends, and they typically will be. If you're not in an actual physical 3D romantic union with them, it is very likely that if they are your twin, you will remain friends. And not just like passing friends. Like, there'll be more connections. You probably will have kids together, and that's a way to make sure that the connection stays, the spirit doing that. You will have mutual friends that you run into. They will have different connections and things that happen that show you how much you appreciate those intimate platonic moments as much as you appreciate the romantic ones. And I think that really, even, sorry, I'm probably going to separate to a different video, but I think that can characterize the difference between a karmic relationship, a soulmate relationship, or a twin flame relationship. like with a karmic relationship, if you really think about the person that you're with and you think, could you imagine being friends with them if you weren't dating, if you weren't uh, married, if you weren't in a financial entanglement with them or a legal entanglement, or you didn't have a kid with them, would you be their friend? Like, do they have the same kind of moral level that you do? Do they do you appreciate the ways that they treat you? Do you have the kind of connection to where you can both admit when you've messed up and apologize genuinely and really heal the relationship? Or is it more of a codependency to where you don't really like them, you don't really get along with them, one or both of you don't respect each other's boundaries, and there's a lot of stress in there? Like, if you didn't have this current connection with them, you probably wouldn't even be friends. And like with a soulmate connection, like, you might appreciate the platonic elements, you might even keep in touch, and but like, even though you like them and have some things, and there's just nothing really that grabs it, and neither one of you is really like, oh my gosh, I really need to maintain this connection. It's just kind of there. um I think the other element too is that, like difference between like a soulmate connection and a twin flame soulmate connection is, like, a soulmate, you might get along with them, and it could be doable. Like, it doesn't have to be a bad relationship, and you might even have genuine love for them. It's just a certain lack in passion and intensity and connection, that feeling of home that, most people are happy with, unless they've met their twin flame, and then it's a little hard to feel satisfied with that. There's not as much growth, there's not as much enlightenment, there's not as much fun and adventure. And even though along with the fun, adventure, growth, and enlightenment comes, triggers and strife and things like that, and separations that really challenge you, there's just something profound about that connection that you don't really seem to have with others, whether they're soulmates or karmics or not. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and then I'll do some more talks about the aspect of friendship in relationships. But I think for right now, the main point is simply that to recognize, is it love? Like, is it genuine, healthy love? Ask yourself that question. Is this somebody that I would want to be friends with if we were not connected, if we didn't have strings in the other ways, if I wasn't tied to them legally or familially, or living with them or married to them or with them sexually? Would I still want a connection with them? Would there be any value or reward in it? And would they feel that value with me? If that's not there, if the friendship itself is not enough to be worthy of continuing on without the elements of, like, an exclusive relationship, then it's less likely that it is love. I'm not going to say that it's not, especially because there are a fair amount of us who, in our karmic energies, were just not able to appreciate something like that, because all of us, we've all been in karmic energy. We will do it again. We will continue to go through those cycles. And anybody who has really, like, been in karmic energy is on their way to divinity. So it's not a judgment to be in there, but there's definitely a difference, I think, between somebody who has come to help you learn something through a relationship that is karmic, and you can really recognize it because you really probably wouldn't have a healthy friendship with them. And you can use that to evaluate too, like, if say you're with your twin, and or even with a karmic, and you have a lot of exes coming in, and you're trying to go, okay, like, is this healthy, is this right, is this appropriate? Like, it's, look at the elements of friendship. Like, do these exes add value to my life in a meaningful, either spiritual or emotional way? Like, do they make me feel good about myself? Do I like helping them feel good about themselves? Can I share vulnerabilities with them and know that they're not going to use it against me? Do we have connections that do we really have connections to where we can enjoy spending platonic time with each other, and there's a respect in there of whatever relationships are going on otherwise, karmic or not, aware of it or not? And is this a person who respects your boundaries? Do they put you in positions that are really emotionally painful without being thoughtful of it? Or maybe they even are aware that they're doing that, but they're deciding that their desires and wants are more important? Or, if you had a relationship with them and it ended, did they ever reach out and try to offer some healing and genuine apologies and acknowledgement of their parts in things? Did you do that, and did they receive it well or brush it off? Is it a healing connection, or is it just a connection that you have because you had it, or because you don't want to have a hard conversation, or because you're worried that if you're not friends with this person that other people will think you're a big jerk? Or, look at it. If there isn't an element of meaningful friendship in there that isn't just, steeped in history, then it's probably there only to teach you how to release that, rather than there because there's an actual bigger meaning behind it. Either way, there's really no right or wrong answers, and even this attempt at saying, how do you know if it's real love, is definitely very fallible. So, feedback is appreciated in the comments below, as is your experiences and what you think about this element. Like, how do you feel about the idea that genuine, healthy love is often characterized by a strong, healthy friendship that endures in healthy ways, that isn't just based on codependency or knowing each other a long time or because you don't want to have a hard conversation? Anyways, y'all, I'm definitely going to do some more videos in this series, so stay tuned, and thank you for your likes and subscribes.